Big news is coming out of Las Vegas, and if you're a Raiders fan, you're going to want to hear this. The Raiders have made a bold but strategic move. Dylan Parham is officially shifting back to the left guard position. And while it might not sound like headline material to some, this could be a key turning point for the Raiders' offensive line. Now, before we dive into the details, take a second to subscribe to the channel, give this video a thumbs up, and hit the bell icon so you never miss out on breaking updates like this one. Now, let's get back to the big news. Although the media hasn't had full access to OTA practices, inside sources have confirmed this lineup shift. Here's what the first-team offensive line currently looks like. Kolton Miller at left tackle, Dylan Parham at left guard Jackson Powers, Johnson at center, Alex Kappa at right guard, DJ Glaze at right tackle. This setup isn't set in stone for Week 1, but it reflects what the coaching staff envisions if things go as planned. Let's break this down. Dylan Parham, heading into his 4th year, finally has the chance to settle into a position that suits his skill set and potential. He's not just playing for consistency, he's playing for a future contract. With Parham back on the left side, the chemistry and protection around rookie center Powers Johnson could create a solid foundation for years to come. Kolton Miller remains the anchor at left tackle, while newly acquired Alex Kappa and rookie DJ Glaze battle to prove they belong on the right side. If everything clicks, this group could go from a question mark to a quiet strength. And let's not forget, the Raiders drafted 2 rookie linemen this year, signaling a clear commitment to rebuild the trenches. It's a long-term strategy, and so far, it's looking promising. When it comes to building a dominant offensive line, every position shift matters, and the Raiders are playing chess, not checkers. With Dylan Parham sliding back to left guard, a new window of opportunity opens wide for rookie Caleb Rogers. The message is clear. The Raiders see Rogers as a guard, not a tackle, and they're doubling down on that vision. At the same time, Charles Grant will stay at tackle unless things go south. Then, and only then, could a shift to guard be on the table. But as it stands, the blueprint is solid. Now let's talk about Parham. Among all the Raiders' interior linemen, he's the most proven. Dependable, consistent, and still growing, Parham gives the offense a stable left side to build around. That naturally brings up the next big question. Who locks down the right guard spot? Alex Kappa has the experience. Jordan Meredith has his fans. But the most intriguing name? Caleb Rogers. The 3rd-round pick wasn't drafted to sit on the bench. The Raiders invested in him to compete and win. Giving Parham the left guard role potentially clears the way for Rogers to challenge Kappa on the right. Now, here's where things get interesting. Kappa has had a shaky past. He's shown flashes, but many see him as a placeholder, not a long-term answer. Comparing him to a player like Cody Whitehair isn't far off, steady but limited. And the Raiders already have one of those in Jordan Meredith. There's no need to stack the roster with more just-okay guys. Instead, what they need, and seem to want, is upside. Caleb Rogers, despite being a college tackle, has the agility, size, and drive to transform into a serious interior force. And if the Raiders are smart, they'll let him learn on the fly and grow into that role right away. This isn't just about depth. It's about shaping the future. And from the looks of it, the Raiders are making their moves with purpose. The Raiders' O-line vision is coming into focus. Sometimes the smartest moves are the simplest ones. That's exactly what the Raiders are doing with Caleb Rogers. Rogers played with his right hand in the dirt all throughout college. That muscle memory, it's priceless. Transitioning him from college tackle to NFL right guard is more than logical. It's natural. The stance, the footwork, even the leverage, all of it carries over. So, when you hear that Dylan Parham is shifting back to left guard, don't be surprised. That move isn't random, it's strategic. It creates space for Caleb Rogers to step in and compete hard at right guard, likely against Alex Kappa. Now, let's be honest. Kappa's presence doesn't exactly scream dominance. Solid, sure, But if the Raiders are chasing greatness, they need someone with more ceiling. That's where Rodgers fits the bill. Imagine this lineup: Colton Miller at left tackle, Dylan Parham at left guard, Jackson Powers Johnson anchoring the middle, Caleb Rogers at right guard, DJ Glaze holding down the right edge. That group, it's young, powerful, and brimming with upside. Yes, they'll need time. But by the second half of the season, don't be shocked if this unit climbs into the top 10 offensive lines in the NFL. Rodgers will sharpen each week. Jackson Powers Johnson might just become one of the most feared centers in the league, physically dominant and smart. And Parham? He's already proven he's more comfortable on the left side. Let's rewind a bit. Parham came out of Memphis playing right guard and right tackle. But once he hit the NFL, he shifted left, and it worked. He stepped in around week 2 or 3, replacing either John Simpson or Lester Cotton, and made that spot his own. Then came last season, and he was moved to right guard again. Was he bad? Not at all. But based on the tape, his natural fit is at left guard. Now, he's back where he belongs. And the Raiders? They're quietly building a line that could anchor this team for years. Raiders O-line battle. Heats up. And that's a good thing. If you're the Raiders, this is the kind of problem you want to have. Real competition on the offensive line. Let's start with the obvious. Dylan Parham is the anchor. He's the most reliable lineman on the roster right now. Locking him in at left guard gives the team a foundation they can trust week in and week out. On the other side, things are a little more fluid. Alex Kappa has been lining up at right guard early in camp. But let's be clear, his grip on that job isn't ironclad. With Caleb Rogers waiting in the wings, it's only a matter of time before the coaching staff takes a serious look at handing him the reins. Now, swing out to right tackle. DJ Glaze has the early edge, and he's likely to start the season there. But keep an eye on Charles Grant. The Raiders drafted him as a tackle, and with only 2 spots available, one of them already claimed by Colton Miller, the writing's on the wall. Grant is gunning for Glaze's spot. Will he take it this season? Maybe, maybe not. Grant's development curve will decide that. But even if he's not ready just yet, it's not a bad thing. It means the Raiders are stockpiling real talent on the line. Best case scenario? Glaze holds the line in 2025, Grant develops behind the scenes, and the Raiders end up with 2 solid options at tackle for years to come. That's how you build a sustainable line. Smart picks, internal competition, and patience. And just when you think the story ends there, there's more. One name has started to buzz around the building: Lucky Tossi. The Raiders' international pathway player, Tossi, is a former rugby standout with Samoan roots and a reputation for raw power. He's still learning the game, but he's already turning heads in practice. He's not in the starting conversation yet, but he's proof that this Raiders roster is quietly stocking up on physical, high-upside linemen across the board. Meet Lucky Tossi, the Raiders' viral prospect. Everyone's talking about. If you haven't seen Lucky Tossi's highlights yet, stop what you're doing and check him out. This guy is 6 feet 7 inches, 350 pounds, and built like a tank. One image of him recently went viral, and it's easy to see why. Even without anyone standing next to him for scale, the size of his hand compared to a helmet in the photo says it all. His arms? Massive. His legs? 3 trunks. And that frame? Absolutely rare. Guys just aren't built like Lucky Tossi. Now here's where it gets interesting. He's not even an offensive lineman. Tossi is a defensive lineman, but his position still isn't fully defined. He's probably not a nose tackle. He's too tall. Is he a 3 technique? Maybe. Does he have pass rush skills? That's still unclear. The truth is, the Raiders don't know yet either. But that's the beauty of it. They're going to find out. This is a long-term project, and OTA sessions are just the beginning of his development. What makes Tossi stand out even more are his rugby highlights. Seriously, go watch them. It's wild. He's outrunning guys half his size, showing footwork and speed you wouldn't expect from a man his size. He's not just big, he's athletic, and that's a scary combination. He also has some early football film, But it's the rugby tape that really shows how unique he is, and that's why this guy is generating buzz, despite being one of the bottom 15 roster players right now. Lucky Tossi might not make an impact right away, but don't be surprised if he becomes a fan favorite and develops into something special down the road. When you're filling out the bottom of your roster, you don't just want average depth, you want upside. And that's exactly what Lucky Tossi brings. Freakish size at 6 feet 7 inches, 348 pounds, rare movement skills, and raw potential. Now, if he can add some technique to his game, we might be looking at a future gem. But Lucky isn't the only young Raider making waves. Another image that recently caught attention was of Amari Gaynor at OTAs, and fans couldn't help but notice he looks absolutely jacked. Wearing number 53, Gaynor stood out in a group shot, especially when compared to veteran linebacker Landon Roberts, number 52. Gaynor just looked bigger, stronger, and more explosive. Last year, Gaynor was one of the few undrafted free agents UDFAs who actually made the active roster. That's rare. Most UDFAs land on the practice squad at best, but Gaynor earned his way onto the field. He flashed potential in preseason games and showed he belonged. With Antonio Pierce setting the tone defensively and a strong coaching staff behind him, this could be the breakout year for Gaynor. The Raiders' linebacker room is stacked with veterans like Devin White, Jaylon Smith, and Elandon Roberts, all guys with Pro Bowl experience or close to it. That's the kind of group a young linebacker can learn from. And it's not just Gaynor. The Raiders have young talents like Darian Butler, Luke Masterson, and Kanai Mauga, who are hungry to prove themselves. This linebacker core is deep, physical, and high upside. And the good news, we won't have to wait long to see how this group performs. The Raiders have announced a joint practice with the San Francisco 49ers, scheduled for August 16th at 1 p.m., ahead of their preseason matchup. It's a one-day scrimmage and a big test. The 49ers are a physical team, and if the Raiders can hang, it'll be a strong sign they're heading in the right direction. Aiders Preseason Schedule. Why the 49ers' joint practice is a big deal. The Raiders' full preseason schedule is officially out. Dates, opponents, everything. But more importantly, we now know that the joint practice with the San Francisco 49ers is expected to happen on August 14th, just 2 days before their preseason game on the 16th. Now here's why that joint practice really matters. Every coach and player will tell you this. You get more out of a joint practice than you do from the actual preseason games. Why? Because it's full speed, against real competition, and best of all, you can script it. In games, things are unpredictable. But in a joint practice, coaches can create specific scenarios. Goal line stands, 3rd and longs, 4th and 2s, red zone situations, you name it. It's a chance for players to work on the exact things that matter most. Example? Picture this. The 49ers throw out Trent Williams and their starting left guard. The Raiders counter with Max Crosby on the edge and Adam Butler inside. Now it's on. Outside zone, inside zone. The play's live, the reps are real, and the defense has to read and react in real time. And this kind of practice? Way more valuable than a preseason game where some starters only play a handful of snaps, if they even play at all. Plus, the 49ers aren't just any team. They're one of the best rosters in the league, Super Bowl contenders with elite talent on both sides of the ball. Going up against that kind of team is the perfect test for the Raiders, especially on offense. And here's a wrinkle. Robert Saleh is back with the 49ers. That adds another layer to this joint practice, especially for the Raiders' offense. Saleh is one of the smartest defensive minds in the league, so this will be a great challenge. And finally, tomorrow marks the first OTA practice that's open to the media. Raiders beat reporters will be allowed inside the building, which means we'll be getting real updates, live observations, and maybe even some video clips. So, stay tuned. More Raider insights are on the way. One thing to keep an eye on tomorrow? We might get to see Max Crosby line up against Thayer Munford or DJ Glaze in live drills. That's going to be fun to watch. And speaking of linemen, we might also get a first look at Charles Grant. Now, we know he was announced as an offensive tackle, but the big question is, where is he practicing? Is it left tackle? Right tackle? We should find out tomorrow. But here's something to think about. Don't be surprised if the Raiders try him at guard too. He might be getting reps all over the offensive line. Want an example? Look at what the New York Jets did with Olu Fashanu, who was one of the top tackles in last year's draft. The Jets had already signed Tyron Smith, so instead of forcing Fashanu into the lineup, they let him develop. He got a few snaps at left guard, then some at right guard, and finally, when Smith went down, Fashanu took over at left tackle and looked like a future star. So the point is, moving young linemen around early on isn't uncommon, and while Charles Grant is still a developmental player, it wouldn't be surprising if the Raiders test him inside before he becomes a full-time tackle down the road. So keep your eyes on that tomorrow. It could tell us a lot about how the team views his role in the future. If you enjoyed the breakdown, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned. More updates are coming soon.